Thanks so much. So we've got a really interesting set of folks to talk to today, and use cases, deployments that I think are quite interesting in terms of analytics and a particular style of analytics and AI that we're going to talk about today, which is cognitive AI. So let's go ahead and jump in. Okay, just a couple housekeeping rules. Please, if you have your cell phone with you, silence. We will heckle you like a comedian if your phone does go off. And please, you can go into the auditorium in the app after the session, and you'll see a survey button for this particular session where you can give feedback. We do appreciate that. That's very helpful. Please do check the app itself for updates in terms of all the activities going on over the next couple days. And again, please silence your devices. So just a little bit about me for those of you that don't know me. I do see some familiar faces and some new ones, so it's very good to have you here. My name's Mike Guilfoyle. I'm a vice president at ARC. In terms of my background, I spent a couple decades and more really helping companies develop market and business strategies relative to transformational drivers and market disruption. That's something that I specialize in. At ARC, I have a number of different roles. The first one of the reasons I'm here is I've overseen for the last number of years our research on a lot of emerging technologies used in operational settings. So that would include analytics and cloud platforms. And as some of you know, I spent a lot of time on the human implications of that change and what's required culturally, workforce readiness, organization modernization in terms of being able to deploy these technologies effectively. I also lead a group now that studies and focuses on energy transition and sustainability. And you're really going to start to see, I think, analytics and AI become a very important piece in terms of how you manage those two issues. So that's something I think to pay attention to. Do a lot of consulting, as you might imagine, by my title, and I'm one of the co-founders of our end user community, the Digital Transformation Council, and currently sit on the steering committee. So enough about me. So one of the things I want to do is set the stage for why we're talking specifically about cognitive AI and cognitive analytics. And I think both sets of presentations will probably dig into a little bit about what that means. But there's some fundamentals in terms of this emergence a number of years ago of advanced analytics based on the ability of computer processing and the power of computer processing to do things that we could never do before. It's not that we didn't know about them. It's not that we didn't have the math. It's not that we didn't understand them conceptually, but the ability to take the data in and process it in ways that humans can't, that's what fundamentally changed. And so there was essentially I don't know if you want to call it birth or rebirth, around advanced analytics and the use of things like machine learning. It suddenly became viable. And I think, as everybody here knows, there was just a mad scramble across industrial markets to figure out, how do we use this? How do we get at our data? How do we do new things with it? So I want to just present the difference between advanced analytics and what we're going to talk about specifically today, cognitive AI. Now, cognitive AI, cognitive analytics could be considered a form of advanced analytics, but I think it's at least important to contrast what we're talking about today and what we're not really focusing on today. So advanced analytics is really about correlations among curated data. So that's taking data sets and identifying what's within those data sets, and it's really focused on algorithms and patterns. And that's where you get things, like machine learning. And what you're trying to do by identifying those patterns using the algorithms and the correlations among those data and data sets is really teach the machine to learn and identify and do it dynamically, because it can do it faster than humans and it doesn't ever quit. Well, shouldn't. And the purpose of that is to really enable machines to be embedded into a decision process so that they can start to make decisions where humans wouldn't be able to, and support humans in terms of better decision making. So that's really what the basics of advanced analytics, in a simple nutshell, really. So cognitive AI, as I mentioned, it's not new. The concept has been around, but what is different is the processing power. It's essentially reinvented what's possible, and that's where you really have to think, okay, these things have been around, but now we have the technology to put them to use, so how do we do that, and why should we do that, and when should we do that? So cognitive AI is really about causation and context among data and expertise, and it's important, and we'll hear that today, data and expertise. And what it necessitates is a combination of AI techniques, and in particular, natural language processing. That's one of the key components of how you can draw context among data and expertise. And what it's trying to do is dynamically pair human knowledge and the machine. So you take human knowledge and you input it into a machine and let the machine draw context around what you've input so that you impart reasoning and knowledge, machine cognition. So it's a tweak on advanced analytics, and it comes at it from a little bit of a different way than we thought about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I will tell you, and those of you that know me have heard this before, no free lunch applies here too. That is, no one method of analytics is any better than another method of analytics in my mind. I have seen them all work and I have seen them all fail, and it's really about fit. If you find the right problem and you understand what the outcome needs to be, what the analytics tool or what the tool in general should be becomes much more evident versus trying to take the technology and go, what nails can I hammer? So multiple types will be required. Some very advanced, some very simple, and the spectrum between the two. And really, I think companies that understand the breadth of analytics techniques and solutions in front of them and understand how to start with a business problem and build that back into the technology selection so that it becomes evident, they're the ones that are going to win. And it's going to require an ecosystem. So what we're going to see today are two examples from Georgia Pacific. Ron and Shelley will present that. And then we'll have Alan from Era Energy talk about what he's done there. And you're going to see two really different examples. And I think that that's the power of analytics. And then Peter Harding from Kelvin AI will join us. He's the CEO of Kelvin, and he was the one that put the solution together for Era Energy. So thank you very much.